I am like 97.5% to that ultimate level of saying who gives a fuck. Like I don't fuck you. Fuck what you think about what I'm wearing. Fuck what you think about what I said.
Right.
Fuck what you think about what I did. Like
Right.
I'm living my life for me.
Come on now.
And my happiness.
Okay. Hello. It's Brooke DeVard.
Hey, and it's Sir John.
And you're listening to the Naked Beauty Podcast. And have we got an amazing guest
Oh,
for
boy.
today?
Oh, yes.
The icon behind the icons.
Listen, guys, it's going down. It's going down. Basement right now. We have
Roach.
Roach
The one and
in the
only.
building. The image architect himself, guys.
And I feel like in our very first meeting when we talked about,
Yes.
okay, we want to interview people that are so impactful to the culture.
Yes.
Law was always very high on our list.
Babe, he was in our deck.
Yes, he was. He was.
Fun fact, you know? And so like, this is kind of a full circle moment, but in terms of timing, and this is like, everything happens in its own divine timing.
Yes.
And so we just happened to be sitting down with him the day after the book is released.
Yes. Hold up
Yes,
the book,
yes.
How to Build a Fashion Icon.
Guys, you have to get this. I read this. I have notes. You see all the notes. And I know that we've been vibing. You went through this before I even got a chance to go.
I ate this book up because
Okay.
you know what? It's such a good book because it tells the story of Law's career,
Yes.
but it also explains how key confidence is to having the career you want. It's not just about doing the things. You have to believe in yourself to an almost delusional degree,
Yes.
which we're going to talk to him about. But I want to get into his bio
Okay.
for people that aren't familiar.
Cool.
Stylist and image architect Law Roach undeniably transformed celebrities into fashion icons. Roach grew up in the south side of Chicago and embarked on his career as a vintage broker, collecting and curating vintage pieces at his boutique, Deliciously Vintage. He eventually went on to meet and work with Zendaya, a creative partnership he credits with helping him break into the notoriously gate-kept world of fashion. Law has gone on to style everyone from Celine Dion to Megan Thee Stallion to Anya Taylor-Joy, Hunter Schafer. I mean, he's done some incredible looks.
Wow.
Roach was the first African-American on the cover of the Hollywood Reporter's most powerful stylist issue.
Let's go.
In 2022, Roach received the first Stylist Award from the Council of Fashion Designers of America, CFDA, for his innovative work in the fashion industry. Fueled by his love for fashion, Law continues to conquer cultural limitations, making revolutionary strides for people of color within both the fashion and entertainment industries. And we are so excited to have him as our guest today.
I can't wait. Listen, we're going to dive right on in.
Yes.
Right on in.
Let's get into it.
Let's go.
Law, welcome to Naked Beauty.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank you for having
welcome.
me.
We're very excited. And congratulations on the book. Everyone got their copies in the mail yesterday, so it's
Yeah.
finally out into the world.
Yeah.
And audiobooks too. I've been
I know,
listening to for the last 24 hours.
I need the audiobook.
Oh,
Would you ever start a podcast?
I'm not sure. I think
You should.
I don't know because I don't know if I'll have something to talk about that much. I know you bring other people and talk about what they have going on, but I think I might just kind of like doze off or something during the interview.
No, but I love your speaking voice and your cadence.
Really?
I learned so much about you reading this book. One of the things I learned, and I shouldn't have been surprised, but you have degrees in business
Yeah.
with a concentration in marketing,
Yes.
psychology.
Yes.
There is a lot that goes into creating an image. So our first question for you is, you've created images and you've created icons out of other people, but now you're the star, you're the talent. What's it like creating for yourself versus other people?
You know, to be quite honest, I'm still trying to figure me out, and I think that's okay. I think one of the things I talk about in the book is not being afraid to start over. And for me, walking away, or partially walking away, as the people like to say, from like this huge career was just me trying to start over and figure something out, because for so long I had been just of service to people.
Yes.
Right? I think people forget that although our jobs include makeup and hair, we are in the service industry, right? We are no different from the housekeeper or the nanny or the chef, right? It's if they call, we come. And what I'm learning now is how to be of service to myself.
Ooh.
Yes.
And
Take
to be
your time
of
with that.
service to people in a different way. And that's what sprouted the book. Because if I had so many of these women, these famous, beautiful, gorgeous women say that part of what they got from me is confidence, I wanted to take that, bottle it up, and and give it to the everyday person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what's wild is that being in this business, in this space, working behind the scenes, often talent or their publicists and the teams, they want you to know your place, as like, as we talk about, we all are servants. I remember Sam Fine told me that a long time ago. And so I look at you now and you're breaking this mold on what it can be and what it looks like to not even be rebellious, but to actually flower in yourself, you know what I mean? Actually to be 10 toes down in who you know yourself to be. But do you ever feel like, because you're talent, you're number one on the call list. And so is it ever difficult, or do you ever hear like the people thinking, why does he think he's a celebrity, or why does this publicist feel like they need to address you as talent as well?
Yeah.
And I think that you're kind of revolutionizing the way we look at talent.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of people with, there have been some stories written about me to that point. But everything that's happening to me is a product and a byproduct, I should say, of the work, right?
Yes.
I never set out, I never set out to become this. I knew that I wanted an exit strategy when I got into the industry.
Yeah.
But all my successes outside of styling is just byproducts of the work.
Yeah.
And even when I'm on the carpet with Zendaya and we're taking pictures together, that's because she invited me into that space.
Amen. Yeah.
You know, when I first got in, and probably you too, you didn't take pictures with your clients. You didn't, that was a no-no.
Right.
You didn't do that. You were definitely behind the scenes, almost unknown.
Seen and not heard.
And when that started to happen, I was invited by her into that space. She used to reach her hand out and come take a picture with me.
Yeah.
And I do think that a lot of people find who I am now, they have a little bit of resentfulness
Yeah.
to that. But yeah, it's I just, again, I didn't want to carry garment bags and go to a million fitness every day forever.
And so I even look at how, the relationships matter and they mean so much. So when I think about relationships, I read in the book how Celine, she was on set and you saw something that wasn't going right. And she gave you more agency on that set to completely pull forward, and hold space for yourself. And so often you still have to battle the teams, if you will, without the support of of talent.
Yeah,
so
that was the part that made me leave. The gatekeepers, and people don't understand when you walk into a room with a client, you're walking into that room with 100 decision makers or what they think they are. You know what I mean? It's the agent, the manager, the publicist, the husband, the wife, sometimes the dog, the daughter. It's all these things, and you have to go in and you almost have to prove yourself to everyone. And for me, I felt like I had done all these things and broke all these glass ceilings and opened all these doors, and it would still be that one person on somebody's team that, would say, well, I don't like the way he did that, or I don't like that
for the sake of,
and it's just so tough. And so I got to a point where I also felt like I just didn't need it anymore.
Yes.
Right.
Because only from my career can only get bigger by just doing more work. And I didn't want to do more work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's like there's nowhere else to go.
Right.
I want to push you because earlier you said that, you got here and we all know you because of the work. But I feel like, and this is just a contrary opinion, we know you also because of law. Like, like there are a lot of stylists, there are a lot of makeup artists, but it takes someone that's been forged, and as I read the book, I didn't know so much about your childhood and coming up, and you've always been law.
Yeah.
And so, and I even look at your name, how basically you say in the book how the name, you had to have confidence at a young age to carry a big name.
Yeah.
Law is, guys, if y'all don't realize, law is a serious name to be carrying around.
No, it's not the law, it's Roach. What's the serious name to be carrying around?
But both though.
Yeah, but it was like I had to have confidence because I feel like I was definitely born queer. I've always been a very feminine boy. And I always had the last name Roach. So you can imagine as a child, and we moved around a lot. So, you go to a school
in Chicago
and the teacher's like, oh, we have a new student, Laura. And it's like, oh, you gay Roach. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
I told my team a story the other day. I think I was in maybe like the 3rd grade. And this boy kept saying, he's like, tomorrow I'm going to bring some rain and I'm going to kill you.
No.
And I was so
Terrible.
scared. But, the things that that could have broken me,
Yes.
you know, being gay
Come on.
very early on,
Yes.
having a last name Roach my entire life, those things could have really broken me, right? But instead they made me stronger because what my grandfather used to say is that nobody will ever forget your name.
Yes.
And he was right. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if someone says my name, people are like, oh, I know that name. Or now I know exactly who that is.
Yes.
It's kind of like your name, sir, you know? And so it's like the things that I thought were difficult for me actually
Were the best thing.
were powerful.
Amen.
They were really powerful that you know, that God put me in this body and made me the way I am, and that, you know, I inherited that last name.
I love that.
I want to hear more about your confidence and self-love journey.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you are 100% there yet in terms of self-love, and how have you been able to get there?
Yeah. Well, I think self-love and happiness are habits, right?
No, say it again.
And they have to continually be worked on, just like exercise, right?
I love that.
You know, health and everything. It's a habit that you have to keep working on. But I will say that I am the happiest that I've ever been in my life. And experiencing pure joy. I don't think I've ever felt like that before. Because when I retired and I started writing a book, it forced me to see myself in a different perspective. And it forced me to see things about myself that I didn't like.
What were you seeing about yourself that you didn't like?
A couple of things. So when you start to work at a certain caliber, people put you on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And Sir John knows me, and people who knows me, like, I'm not that at all. Like, I'm going to walk in and I'm going to be the realest bitch that come in the room. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just who I am.
Right.
But I think you start to be put on this pedestal that I never asked to be put on. Like, I don't want to be up here. I want to be down here with the people. Right. So I noticed that I started to buy into that Law Roach, the image architect, Law Roach, the thing, you know what I mean? I started to buy into that. And also there's points I had just become so selfish. And I talk about that in the book when my uncle died and my cousin called me to make the funeral arrangements. And she called and said, well, the funeral's going to be on Friday and such. And I had a fitting and I said, well, can you move it to Sunday? Because I have something to do. And for me to ask my cousin, who was grieving the death of her father, to change the date of a funeral to accommodate me is probably one of the most selfish acts that I could have ever done.
Did you realize it then?
Huh?
Did you realize it in the moment?
I didn't realize it in the moment. I realized it when I was writing the book, and I was like going through just memories and I was trying to pull in everything that had happened over the last couple of years, and and I was just like, but it also, I was doing so much self-reflecting because I was at my house in Georgia and by myself and just taking walks and figuring out the things that I was grateful for and figuring out the things about myself that I would like to change. And that story came to me and I was just like, that was so fucking selfish. That was so selfish.
Doing the work.
Yeah.
Doing the work.
So in terms of exercises for self-love, what do you do to bring that into your day-to-day life?
It's gratitude for me. It's always being grateful for every single thing that you have, and also for the things that you don't have is the important part. Being grateful for the opportunities that you didn't get, because what that is just, for me, that's the universe just moving things out of the way. And I think Oprah said that too in an interview. And just being able to be grateful for that and saying that wasn't for me.
Right.
And just, I've had some struggles with my weight over the last year, and just being patient, like, you know what, it's fine. I had like a really tough struggle with my skin, and it was just, I'm like, you know what, it's fine. It's fine. And it's like, I gained weight because of the skin. I'm like, okay, do you want a small body and fucked up skin, or do you, great skin and a bigger body right now? You know what I mean? And just being okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like just learning to love yourself in the body you're in and the situation you're in. And I think when you get to that place, everything starts to heal and balance out.
Does the healing come first? Or sometimes you feel like, okay, once I get this done, or once I feel like this, I'm gonna be more chill. Once I actually go into the new home or whatever, things are gonna pan out. But actually, you gotta find that feeling, or gotta find that space first, right?
Because you only take you wherever you're going.
Come on now.
Right.
That's it. You know what I mean? You can only take yourself. So you have to learn how to find it at the present moment and be present in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
It seems that your creative process is very almost spiritual to a degree, because you talk in the book a lot about having visions. Like you had a dream, or you would come to Megan Thee Stallion when you wanted her to wear her natural hair.
Yeah.
I had a dream that you were wearing your hair like this. And you talk about creating moments, not looks.
Yeah.
What is your creative process when you are first starting with a client?
The creative process, well, there's a technical process,
Mhm.
and the technical process is where the title image architect comes in at. But the creative process is, I am a dreamer, and I have this this weird ability to see everything once it's completed. Like I can see what the hair should be, the makeup, what the outfit looks like, and sometimes I can even imagine what the press would be the next day.
Oh, wow.
And like Zendaya say all the time, like we'll be in the fit and she'll leave and she's like, just dream about it.
Wow.
And as I've been able to have that, because I think a lot of maybe even, I don't know if it's just cancers, but I am an empath.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
And and once I'm connected to somebody or something, then I'm able to do it. But the technical part of it is that when I get a client, or a client calls, myself and my team will go and look at every single thing they ever worn. I mean, like going back 10
Wow.
years, whatever, looking at every single thing and try to look at the pictures and the images, or watch them on video and try to figure out if there was something wrong. You can always tell, like you can tell the nonverbal cues, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh, wow.
if you on a carpet, if you see somebody on the carpet and they're doing that and they're adjusting, something's wrong, right?
Yeah. But also your psychology degree,
Yeah,
right?
let's brought that into
Anthropology.
it.
I
And
didn't-
so
Wow.
I would when we had a meeting, I'm like, oh well, you wore this yellow dress to this award show, and you kept like nudging at it and doing this, and they're like, oh, I really didn't like that dress, and I didn't like the way it fell,
Right.
and it would just be so amazed that I would take enough time to realize that.
Right.
So
The research, guys. The research. You're obsessed with research.
yeah, and that's exactly what an architect does. If you build in a house, what the architect would come out first is to survey the land,
Amen.
right?
Come on now.
And to look at what's there already and start to build a blueprint of what it is that you're trying to create. And I would do the same. And, and then just like an architect, they would call in a contractor, and the contractor would call in the windows and the electricity and the, plumbing and all that. And for me, that was the clothes and accessories, hair and makeup. So when I start to look at the parallels between the two, I'm like, oh, I'm an architect. But I'm only doing it for people's images.
Come on now.
Yes.
Wait,
Then I
is that how
trademarked
it was
it.
born?
I trademarked it.
Okay.
So that's why the book says, Notes on Confidence from the World's Only Image Architect, because I hold the trademark.
Come on now.
And I will send a cease and desist letter. So don't fuck with me.
Yo, guys, he actually will send a cease. I think
will.
he might actually roll up to somebody in a party if they start using it.
I will. And early on, I did send a bunch of them, to be quite honest, because so now you see people and they'll say fashion architect or style architect because they tried to use my term, and I threatened to sue them.
Wow. Okay. So speaking of like relationships, and one thing I noticed when we were like sharing stories about the book is two things that keep coming forward. The fact that you research.
Yes.
And I think we're so blessed.
Yeah.
We're blessed actually to come from I don't want to say an era, but we're 80s babies, and so we actually were able to see all the stuff in the archives
See
and
some
live
of
it, the
it,
90s,
Real life, yeah.
And I
Yes.
feel it's lost on a generation of like Gen Zers who, and they have all the information. They don't have to actually go and dig, but that no one's actually there, with it. When it comes to relationships, do you feel that, I know how they look at us, but do you have a checklist for the people who you want to work with? Like, for example, what do you look at as loyalty? I believe in codes, like, hood code. I grew up in New York, and you're from Chicago. And I still have the same codes that I apply to my friends or my clients or my agents or my managers. What code is the law code?
Well, for me, it's just always being authentically myself.
Okay.
And I think that's what helped me be successful, is because, I'm from Chicago. I have a very distinct regional dialect, right? I talk a certain type of way, I move a certain type of way. And when I figured out that like being authentically me,
Yes.
because before me, I didn't exist,
No, for real.
In the landscape of what I do, there just wasn't anybody like me. Also, I never really played the game of like You know what I mean? I never played scared like, oh, let's go have coffee and all that. I just kind of let the work speak for myself. But I think my code, if I'm answering the question correctly, is just to always remain true to who I am. And I've never had a wish list of clients ever. Like, I've always really believed that the universe will put someone's in your life and vice versa exactly when it's supposed to happen. And I would say 90% of everybody I've ever worked with, it was I met them at an event or they DM'd me or, you know, we saw each other on a plane and, you know, and it was all those type of things. So I just never had to kind of play the Hollywood shuffle.
Yeah. What does loyalty look like for you?
Zendaya.
Unpack that for us.
You have such a beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
For younger creatives who are coming up and they want to understand how do I understand if this person respects my art or my career or who I am?
No, even as a young girl, she has always advocated me to be in every room.
Right.
Every room. Like, it would be unheard of that someone would go to their agent to talk about deals and the stylist would be there.
Like sidebar, this actually has never happened in history. Like, this is my number one. It's never happened before.
It's
groundbreaking.
She was a young girl, and you know, and you'll be in these rooms with these sitting across from all these people, and you know, they would talk, and I would make a point, and they would almost try to make me feel invisible, and she'll just like, what did you say again, Law? You know, and she made people respect me and respect my opinion, and she would also. You know, they would do something, they'll circumvent me and go around, and she'd be like, well, what did Law say?
Yeah.
You know, and because she know, just as loyal she is to me, I am just as loyal to her. And I have protected her and been her protector and her big brother and her confidant and her closest collaborator since 2011. Wow. You know what I mean? And so when people ask me, what does loyalty look like? That's the only thing that I can
measure against,
that I can think of. And also, you know, you work with people and they tell you they love you, but they don't want you to live next door to them.
Come
on. You know what I mean? They can love you as long as you live in, you know, in wherever you live in, and they live in wherever they live in. And she's never been like that. You know, she's always made sure that I was taken care of financially.
Oh yeah.
You know, people would be like, oh, the rates are too high. And she said, well, you got to pay the rate, you know? And so I think to ultimately show people that you care about them, you have to be able to change their financial situation.
Wow.
And that's what she's done for me over the years.
And she's never been afraid of you as a star. Like your talent, right? Sometimes that kind of scares.
No. She thinks it's hilarious.
Other clients. Does that ever
she really thinks it's so funny. She think every time she's like, you're so stupid.
Because she has the space for it.
Yeah.
And do you all still have fun together creating these looks? As you know, you've been working together since 2011. It seems like it's fun. I see the work and it looks so joyous.
No, it is fun.
It's still fun.
It's also because I know my boundaries as well. Like at the end of the day, she's still my boss.
Right.
And I know that and I respect her in that way. And we fight over clothes and like, you know, it's almost really as close to a perfect relationship as possible.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, we fight. Like people for a long time thought like, oh, whatever I tell her to wear, I tell her to do, is what she's gonna do, and it is far from that.
Yeah.
Right.
But we would literally fight, and we'll fight in front of people, and people would be so confused. Like we were doing a shoot, and we had a whole fight, and like everybody in the room was so quiet, and then we looked at everybody, was like, it's okay, this is just what we do.
It's what we do.
You know. And there's a clip on my Instagram when we were doing the Tommy show, and I was like, fix your energy. Yeah. Fix your energy.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Was this the first year or second year?
That was the first year.
Okay. And I was blessed you brought me in on the
on the second one.
Thank you.
But it's like that's true love, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to read a quote from your book. What makes Zendaya Zendaya and Celine is their ferocity, their fearlessness, their unabashed confidence in themselves. Their clothes are an extension of who they are, a vehicle through which they can channel their power, vision, and values. Ultimately, I've built a career on helping clients find themselves. So I think that really captures the power of fashion and beauty as a vehicle to express who you are. How do people use clothing or a beauty look to better articulate how they want the world to see them?
Yeah, I think as we all know, people can see you. We are all visuals, right? And sometimes people see the visual before anything else. So before you get to open your mouth and express yourself at all, people are already looking at you, you know, as soon as you walk in a room. And I think we sometimes forget how powerful clothes are to express that, right?
Yeah.
It's almost everything in a way, because you chose to wear what you wore today. So John, you chose to wear what you wore today because you knew that it's not a bad choice. Don't do that.
No, babe, I know it's not a bad choice. I know it's
You
not.
did good. You did good. But we all get up and we choose it because we know it's going to give us a certain type of feeling.
Feeling, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And the feeling is what helps us get through the day.
Right.
Yes.
Right? It's not actually the look, it's the feeling that the look gives you that gives you the power to go into this world, because we live in a crazy world.
Yes.
And I always like to tell a story of, you know, we've all been to New York. We all saw that woman and she has on whatever, right? She has yellow hair and pink lipstick and a green shirt and a blue shoe, a red shoe, and she has all these things. And we look at her and we're like, she's fucking crazy. But then if you start to really look at her and think about it, she put that on knowing that people were going to either laugh at her or laugh with her.
Yes.
But she still wore it. And so then when you start to unpack that, you're like, shit, should I have worn more colors today? Right? And it's like, she wore that because that helps her evoke this amount of confidence to get through the world and to, you know, to be able to do something and have everybody looking at you and staring at you and still say, fuck you.
Right.
This was my choice and this is what makes me happy. It's the ultimate level of confidence.
Dopamine living. That's what it is. Beauty is a feeling, like style is a feeling. And you don't even know that you're touching on mental health. Like this is basically, I always thought, you know, because beauty is so emotional, but fashion or style is a form of a way we want to nurture ourselves in some way too, right?
Yeah. It's the way you protect yourself as well. It's the way you protect yourself. And I talk about having a power piece, right?
Yes.
It's that one thing for me, it's a white button-down shirt. It's like no matter what I have to do, who I have to meet, if I put on a crisp white button-down shirt, it automatically takes me to this feeling of power. I always feel put together. I don't have to think about it. I know exactly how I'm gonna look. I know exactly how I'm gonna feel. You know, I can roll the sleeves, pop the collar, you know, throw on a nice whatever. And I know exactly how I feel and I don't have to worry about it. And when I was working a lot, that became my uniform because, you know, I wasn't in front, but I also didn't feel invisible.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think it's important for us to all recognize what our power piece is. So it might be a dress like that, you know, every angle, you like, my ass look good, boobs look good, you know, everything look right. And don't be afraid to go back to that if you wake up one morning and you're just not feeling it. Because we're all going to do that, right? We're human. If you're not feeling it, put that power piece on there. It is automatically going to transport you to a better place and a better feeling.
Yes. I'm so happy you talk about outfit repeating, because I think people live in this world where they're like, I've worn it once, people have seen me in it, I'm done. But how you really cultivate personal style is by repeating pieces.
Hate that culture that we moved into, especially once you posted it.
Right.
It's just so stupid. It's like my mother had that. She had the same black dress. She wore it to every wedding, funeral, special occasions, because she knew exactly how it made her look and how it made her feel.
Right.
And we've got so caught up in this social media craze that, oh, you've already posted that you could never wear it. I wear my clothes.
Right.
First of all, clothes are such an investment.
Yes.
You know, and especially the things I love, because I say, like, if you go into a store and you like it, try it on.
Yeah.
If you love it, buy it.
Right.
If you buy it, live in it.
Yes.
Okay, I want you to hear this. You guys heard this first here, because I'm gonna start repeating some shit.
I wear my clothes.
Okay.
I wear my clothes, and I have a lot of clothes.
I know you got a lot of bags.
And a lot of bags.
I was gonna say
the bag game.
bags.
I wear it because I'm to a place where I'm not. You know, somebody could be like, oh, I just saw him in the airport with that same coat on. Who gives a fuck?
Right.
Like, who cares?
Right.
Like, I am like 97.5% to that ultimate level of saying, who gives a fuck? Like, I don't, fuck you. Fuck what you think about what I'm wearing. Fuck what you think about what I said.
Right.
Fuck what you think about what I did. Like,
Right.
I'm living my life for me and my happiness.
I was really surprised by the vulnerability in the book in terms of mental health conversations. One of the things you talked about was not drinking at home because you witnessed your mother having bouts kind of depression, and you realize, okay, well, if I have a cocktail, I'm going to do it socially. I'm not going to, drink at home. How much does it weigh on you breaking kind of generational patterns that are unhealthy mentally?
I think, to be quite honest, a lot of it, because I therapy myself. I don't have a therapist.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are you in therapy?
No, I do it. I kind of, and that's my own choice. And, I'm not saying that people shouldn't have a therapist. And if that works for you, that works for you. But my thing with therapists is that, and this is just my thing. So please don't, I know people are going to crucify for this, but it's almost to me the same thing as someone going to a priest and saying, dear Father, forgive me for my sins to this man, right? And so I can't sit there and organically and authentically tell you everything that's going on with me when I don't know how messy your home is. That's just me. So I try to really, really, I know when I've done something wrong. I know when I've done something wrong to someone. I know if I made somebody feel a certain type of way, bad. And I try to fix that on my own. I know when I do things that are not healing for me, and I try to fix it on my own. But that's just me. I just can't fathom me having this open dialect and being super honest with this person. And I don't know shit about them. I just can't do it. I can't do it. So I try to do a lot of self-reflecting and a lot of self-healing.
It seems like you're very self-aware and able to catch patterns that are unhealthy and then correct them.
Yeah. Like one of the biggest things is that I don't listen to music.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Because it was something, my mom only played music when she was depressed and drunk. And so when I was younger, I felt me just doing those same patterns. And, it would, this is so funny. So I was dating a guy or whatever back in the day. And I didn't understand why he wouldn't let me love him the way I wanted to love him. And that was so stupid when you think about it. Not that he didn't love me the way I needed to be loved, but he wouldn't let me love him the way I wanted to love him. And I found myself listening to Tony Braxton, Just Be a Man About It. Over and over again. I was just and crying and shit. I was especially when she's your mama, that's where you should be, or whatever that part is. It's just and so I found myself slipping into these same things that I saw her do. And so I just stopped. And so I could listen to music. Even when I drive, I'm in the car, I just self-reflect and think about my day and no music.
Interesting.
That's actually pretty mindful. I hate to say that word. It's so popular right now. But
absolutely.
That's pretty key. I know you don't go to therapy, but that's one of the things to turn it off, all the data. And
all the noise.
In church, they say, be still, Yeah.
We have to talk about the ball scene because it's a big source of inspiration for you. And one of the things that you talk about in the book is seeing Andre J walk around New York and Jay Alexander on America's Next Top Model. What has the ball scene and seeing men that present that way done for your creativity?
Well, my hair has become my thing.
Yes. By the way, when we said that you were going to be on this podcast, everyone said, we have to talk about the bust down middle part, always flawless hair moments.
Yeah. So in the early 2000s, I used to see Andre. He was like a club kid. He worked at the door at a few clubs.
So John and I remember seeing him
Remember APT Meatpack Industry?
He was iconic in New York.
He was iconic. And then he did that French Vogue cover.
Of course,
Yes.
It was so inspiring. And a lot of times I think we see things when we're younger and we just never let go of it. And so when I started to do television, I wanted to create this kind of alter ego that separated me, the television person, with the person that worked with celebrities. Because one day I remember going in somewhere with a client and it was some people outside asking to take pictures, and they were actually asking to take pictures with me. And I saw the way that the client reacted to that. And I was like, okay, I need to separate myself. But the hair only kind of made me more famous. So it was like, it didn't work the way I wanted it to work. But yeah, it was inspired. I'm all about giving people their flowers.
Yes.
And he did it way before me. And also with Miss J, Miss J wasn't a joke. You know, a lot of times we saw men with wigs and dresses and it was comedy, you know, and he wasn't a joke. And when you really dive into his history, and he was really in Paris teaching the girls how to walk.
Yes,
Right.
Yes.
And, you know, and all this, for me, I had to pay homage to them.
Yes.
You know, because that was the first time that I saw Black men present in a certain way, but also be respected for it.
Yes.
So yeah.
You just said something that was really key. Is that when you left that job, you were walking with a client, and the people wanted to take photos of you because they were inspired in a big way. Do you ever feel in those spaces that, like, damn, do I need to be smaller? Do I need to dim myself a little bit?
Yeah, I did that forever. Like, even when I started to get more popular, I would wait. Even with Z, like, if we were to people like, "Lord, can I take a picture?" I'd be like, "I'll come back." You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, when you're in that place, you are of service.
Absolutely.
You know, and I've always respected that. So I was like, I'll come back out and I'll take pictures. And so yeah, absolutely.
So I have a question about the name of having. You have the trademark on the image architect, right? So, you know, as a makeup artist, you're a stylist technically.
But it's just, you know, it depends on what kind of career you want, and then you make choices based on that.
When did you know you were a brand?
I don't know, to be quite honest. Okay. I don't know when that, you know, because it's always been, for me, I always felt like I hit some like big points, and then like maybe like dribble down a little bit and then back up, and I don't know. Now with the book and with some other things I'm working on, and you know what you also when you travel and you see the way that people start to treat you different. I think that's the telltale to it.
Universally.
Yeah. Internationally, you start to think like you know, it's like when you walk up to an event and everybody move out the way, and you know they don't ask you your name anymore. I think that's kind of, you know, those type of things.
When you realize.
Yeah. Or you could have like 15 people with you, and you just turn around like they with me. You know what I mean? Like, it's that type of shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Because I'm like, the only reason I ever wanted to have any type of fame was, one, so that me and my friends can enjoy that lifestyle.
Yeah.
2, to make more money. And 3, so I don't have to stand in line places.
It's
very simple for me.
But I push you on that one because I feel like you do it for, not knowing, a lot of us do this for the culture too. Like you,
Absolutely.
You've opened doors and changed the hearts and minds of editors, like the establishment. That's gonna also create a big, huge, you know, gateway.
Yeah.
So even though it seems like it started, you know, just so we can have like extra bottles in the club, it's actually for the culture, man.
No, everything I do is for the culture. Everybody knows that. And if there are anybody who do what I do and says that they weren't positively affected directly from the work I put in, it's just a liar.
You better say it.
We have some lightning round questions for you, some submitted by listeners. Okay, people want to know what the skincare routine is. What are like the essentials in your skincare kit you can't live without?
To be honest, La Roche-Posay, double moisturizing cream.
Yes, I love La Roche-Posay.
I do too. And I'm kind of like honestly using all their products right now.
Okay, we love that. We love that. Okay, your go-to daytime fragrance.
Killian.
Okay.
Travel.
Which Killian scent?
All of them.
All of them. Pregnancy dressing tips. Selfish question for me. For women that are, you know, have got the bump and they've got to start. Have you ever had a pregnant client?
Okay, I'll tell us. So I was dressing Keke before she announced that she was pregnant. And I had two. So I dressed Halsey through her entire pregnancy.
Okay.
We even did her her visual album, If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power. And she was 6-7 months pregnant during the whole thing.
Wow.
I'm also very afraid of pregnant women for some reason.
Why is that?
I'm so scared. Like, I always think I'm going to bump into you too hard or something. I have such a phobia of pregnant women. But I dressed Halsey, and that was amazing. And, you know, Halsey would kind of like play into the pregnancy, and I thought it was amazing. And so then I dressed Keke, And this is when Keke was hiding her pregnancy,
Okay.
although we all knew she was pregnant. And I kept
You
on
just
trying to like,
play along.
come on, girl, like everybody knows. She's like, it's not everybody's business. I'll let them know when I'm ready to let them know. And so I could never get it right with her
Right.
because she wasn't ready to let people
Embrace
know.
that.
And she was pregnant.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, Keke, come on, you trying it. But yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
We have a great question from Alexis, who's a huge fan of yours. So she says, your grandmother is a huge inspiration, and you talk about her church looks. What's a look that you've done that you feel your grandmother would love the most?
So it would have to be Zendaya at the Essence. I think it was the Essence Black Women in Hollywood, maybe. And she wore a dress that belonged to Yves Saint Laurent couture outfit that belonged to Eunice Johnson.
Oh, wow.
And I think that because when
Wow.
I always say when I grew up, there was no Vogue on my coffee table. It was Essence and
And
Ebony
Ebony.
and Jet.
Yeah.
And so I think that my grandmother would probably be most proud of that look because it has such history to just being a Black woman.
Absolutely.
I have a quick question for the creatives who are watching this, who are trying to get there, right? You're there. You're at Mount Everest right now. Do you realize that you're on Mount Everest? Is the air thinner up here, up there? As you like.
You know,
Yeah.
I know exactly where I sit
Okay.
in the stratosphere of this industry.
Okay. So what are the keys to the game if you had to give like just a quick do this, don't do that, and do this?
Yeah. So first, anybody is aspiring to be a stylist. My agent and I, Kent Belden from the Only Agency, we acquired a digital platform called School of Style,
Really?
where
Come on.
our aim is to shrink in the gap between learning these materials and actually getting a job. So it's part education, part employment.
Wow.
And so because it's directly tied to the agency who has offices in New York, LA, Nashville, and London, and also planning to go global, that once you take this certification course, you'll be moved into this pipeline where you can become someone's first assistant or become someone's intern.
Yeah.
And what makes us so proud about it is that there's electives. Like say you are already a working stylist, right? But you don't quite understand the financials around it. You don't understand about a loan out, and you don't understand about what should you be an LLC or an S corp. There's an elective that teaches just financial stuff.
Wow.
Because I think as freelancers, we all have made that mistake about, you know, you make 100,000, you spend 90, but you didn't know that you had to pay 50 in taxes. So you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so the School of Style is definitely gonna take shorten in the gap between dream and realizing that dream. Yeah.
That's what's up.
And again, me being to service of other people.
When do you feel most beautiful?
Make it plain.
To be quite honest, when I'm at my house in Georgia, I go out every morning and I take walks on my property. And to come from where I come from, to have this property that has all these trees and nature. Like I saw a falcon the other day and I'm like, I own you, Mr. Falcon. Cause you're on my property. And I just go out and it's like I have no neighbors and I just go out with like, you know, a robe and slippers and I just walk through the property and just say thank you and look at everything that I've been blessed with, you know.
That's beautiful.
That's when you feel the most beautiful.
Huh?
That's when you feel the most beautiful?
Yeah, that's the way I feel.
It's not the glam. It's not on
Shout
the
out
runway.
to hair and makeup though. Shout out to the
with
crew.
nothing. It's literally I wake up still cold in my eyes, like walk out and just walk and just literally say it out loud. I'm thankful for you, chipmunk. I'm thankful for you, mushrooms. You know what I mean?
Manifesting.
And I feel the most at peace, and the peace makes me feel the most beautiful.
Ooh.
That's an incredible note to end on. Thank you so much, Law.
Thank you, baby.
All right, so we just wrapped with Law Roach, the image architect himself. Did you know he trademarked that?
I did not know he trademarked it, but smart.
It's very smart.
Listen, guys, peep how to do this. That was a really nice key to take away in general. He knew the identity of branding before, even though he doesn't see it as branding. Everything he talked about was branding.
Well, everything he does is so intentional. I loved hearing you guys talk about just like the research that goes into it. And it's all comes back to the work. You can want to be a superstar, but the work has to speak for itself and stand on its own. And his work speaks for itself. And then he's La Roach on top of it all.
You can't even want to be a superstar. You just have to be so obsessed with the thing, the beauty of what you do that propels you forward.
Yes. You know, the other thing that really occurred to me hearing him talk, people are hesitant to build their personal brand. Let's say you work in corporate or you're a lawyer. You can be in any single field. Building your personal brand gets you more money.
That's so true.
You know?
And everyone has a personal brand. Like, even if you are the best mom at the PTA who always brings the best brownies or whatever, that's your brand.
That is your brand. And so there's something very interesting about hearing him talk about, I wanted to have a personal brand so that I could get more financial opportunities. And it's like you have to build your reputation and build your brand. So he's done this work as an image architect for others, and now he's applying it to himself.
You know what's so fearless and beautiful about this at the same time is that sometimes I see comments or, like people, and they're gatekeepers. And when I say gatekeepers, within the community that don't want to see him or people in a space of being free enough to be who they truly are. They want to keep you in your place. Like, Law thinks he's talent because he is talent.
He absolutely
unequivocally is,
He's absolutely talented.
Did you learn anything new?
Oh, I learned so many new things talking to him. I think I just really understand his perspective about I'm going to be who I'm going to be. I'm going to be authentic. And again, coming back to the work, like letting the work speak for itself. What about you? I mean, Law. You've worked with Law before.
I know he has a really, really, you don't get here and stay here without having a serious work ethic. And so that's why I knew, even though he wasn't feeling well, I knew he was going to be here today. I had this, what do you call it? We were saying the word, it's like a delirious optimism because he came through just off of, literally got in last night on a private jet from Paris with Zendaya, in Atlanta tomorrow, in New York the day after. And so it takes that kind of dedication to the craft,
Yes. I also just love the visual of him walking around his property in Georgia, saying hello to the chipmunks, saying hello to the falcons, and really being in his robe and living in that moment. He deserves that.
He does. And the one thing that hit me and that I hope I'm taking away again is that beautiful spirit of gratitude, and just being so thankful and blessed. And that's how you manifest. That's how more can happen or create. But you got to be thankful and really empowered by what you have now.
Yes. And for everyone watching on YouTube, let me just say how grateful I am for this beautiful set, which, Sir John, every time I come here, I'm really blown away. You've really outdone yourself.
This was fun. I had a good time.
Okay, so these beautiful plants, courtesy of Rolling Greens.
Rolling Greens, shout out to Rolling Greens. They've just been so much of an amazing partner. I'm like the neighbor who's always there, and everything you see behind me is real. But the cool thing is, I love that they have event places, a wine bar, and just I get lost and inspired not only by makeup or by textiles, but by nature,
Well, this message is for people that are in Los Angeles, or if you're visiting Los Angeles. Rolling Greens is this premium destination for plants, home decor, gifts. The vessels are from Rolling Greens too.
Yeah, everything.
I mean, there's one by us, so we go all the time. It is just an incredible, incredible one-stop shop for all of your house and garden needs. So thank you to Rolling Greens.
RollingGreens.com.
Supplying all of the greenery. And then we have to shout out our consistent sponsors the past few episodes, Shiseido.
I mean, first of all, Robert's conversation, I still play in the back of my head when I'm putting on the layers.
Yes, doing the layers of skincare.
So no, I'm always been a longtime fan of Shiseido. So I'm happy to actually know that you love Shiseido the way I do.
Yes. We appreciate everyone who makes the show possible.
Yes.
Because it takes a lot of work for people, they don't know all the behind the scenes that goes into making Naked Beauty possible.
And not at all. I love the comments.
Yes.
I love the comments.
YouTube comments coming.
They're fun and they're funny. And I found some new friends even,
In the comment section?
Yeah. So shout out to everybody. So how many months are you now?
Oh gosh, we're 7 months. This is we're in the home stretch.
You're in the home stretch.
We're in the home stretch. We're about to wrap things up for the year. But this was definitely such a highlight episode. Thank you all so much for listening.
Peace.